I thought we were more efficient last week than we had been. Obviously, the way the game went, kind of happens. They did a good job holding on to the ball. They scored there late in the half, and then they had another long drive to start the half, and we ended up being down. But I thought we were efficient. Obviously, numbers are what they are, but we were gaining yards, getting 4 yards. It wasn't like it was a negative there. Not where we want to be just yet, but I do think there was some efficiency that was improving.
Hi everybody, I'm Missi Matthews and welcome to the Matchup Show presented by Unibet. We are talking Steelers and Broncos meeting at Heinz Field, 1 o'clock kick on Sunday. Let's introduce you to our panelists to get things started. Craig Wolfley of the DVE radio broadcast for game days and on SNR. Matt Williamson also kind enough to join us from SNR, and also Dave Dameshek kind enough to join us from the West Coast once again from the Extra Points Network. And I want to start a little broad this week and talk about the records of these two teams heading in. So what first for you, are the Broncos as good as their record?
I think so. I mean, just you flip on the tape and you watch and you see, they can rush the passer. They can tackle. They come out and block. They can run the ball. They got, 500 plus yards or near 500 yards in rushing almost. They do very, very well. They've got some big wide receivers. I think these guys have earned their wins and done very, very well. The wheels fell off against the Ravens last week, but certainly when you see them on tape and see what they do a pretty good job.
All right, Matt, I'll flip it for you. Are the Steelers as iffy or not so great, or are they better than their record? Or
it's tough to say.
I know. I'm going back and forth on how to phrase that.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
I'm sorry. It's a little tough to say right now. I mean, they beat the Bills, who frankly I think now are the best team in the league, and that win looks even better than when it happened. Losing to Cincinnati and the Raiders and the Packers, looking back, doesn't look as bad as it was. I mean, those teams are 12-4 collectively with 106 point differential in their favor. So I think when we look back at the first month of the season, we're going to say, boy, that slate of games was a little more difficult than we maybe gave it credit for. But, I mean, the defensive injuries throughout the season and the offensive struggles can't be ignored.
All right, Dave, in terms of the Steelers, we all know they need to get back on the winning track. Does this feel like going home, playing a team that is dealing with a ton of injuries? Does it feel like this could be a get-right game for them?
It definitely does, and I don't want to be Pollyanna about 1-3 and all of that. But I do say that my sense of going into the season was that Colbert on down, the premise was, look at what the 2015 Denver Broncos did. Let's get to a place where the defense carries the day, at least for the first third or so of the season. The football gods saw fit to do otherwise, banged up the defense. TJ Watt missing essentially 2 games, Joe Hayden missing a game, Stephon Tuitt and all that. These are excuses. But, the Steelers very well, with the sense on the banks of the Three Rivers that the sky is falling at 1-3, things would look quite different if they steal one of those 2 games in Heinz Field. They had, they're a play or 3 away from beating the Raiders. The Bengals game wasn't as out of hand as the final score suggests it was. All that being said, at 1-3, the Steelers have to get right this week. I mean, is it a chance for them to get right? It better be, because 1-4 is going to start to really create some distance between the top in the division and where the Steelers are. But glass half full, 2 home games, then the bye, then the Brownies, a chance to really get right relatively quickly here in these next 3 games.
All right, well, if we heard Matt Canada talking about the run game at the top of the show, Coach Tomlin talked about it, Ben talked about it this week. Everyone seems to think a step was taken forward. What is the next step for the Steelers run game, something that we know very well needs to happen?
Well, a run game that is able to be congruent throughout the whole game. The problem is when you get behind, you get stop running the ball. And part of that is due to the fact that, when you start running the ball and you have success, you've got to put it in the end zone and finish off those drives. All the basics, Football is not a mystical game. It's about moving the first down chains. It's about putting the ball in the end zone. And it's about finishing the drives offensively and getting off the field defensively. So when you take a look at the running game, and it started percolating, what I saw was offensive linemen coming off the ball, finishing their blocks. I mean, Gadzooks, we saw some guys blocking to the whistle. That's excellent. That's what you want. And then, you know what? Clean the pile a little bit. Oh, that's good. You know, good gorings are good family fun. Have at it, man. Keep going. And that running game is going to progress, and they're going to take that next step, which is finishing off the drives and being able to put that baby in the end zone. And if you can have the defense then coming along, having an opportunity to play with a lead, then you see the hounds of the Baskervilles going after the opponent quarterbacks and set loose on them. That's what you want.
Wait a second. We just got a Sherlock Holmes and a Gadzooks in the same monologue? Wow. Raising the stakes for us, Williamson.
Matt, what is it about this Broncos defense? We know they're a tough group that tells you the Steelers could or could not run well and continue that step forward on Sunday.
They're very difficult to run against. I mean, they're extremely well coached. I absolutely believe they are one of the best defenses in all of football. One thing you'll see from these guys, which is trickled down to the Chargers and Rams from some Vic Fangio disciples, is you'll see a lot of cover 4 shells without a real heavy box kind of begging you to run. And then their safeties come downhill almost like linebackers. But still, teams have not had a lot of success running the ball against these guys. I think, though, the key is if this is going to be a grinded out, low-scoring game, kind of like Wolf was saying, you should have the opportunity for 60 minutes to stick with that run game, even if it's not super successful in the first half. And there's kind of an old saying, you know, amongst offensive players too, like any drive that ends with a kick is fine in this game. You know, I mean, a punt, a field goal, great. Just don't turn the ball over, live to fight another day. I think it's going to be that type of game.
All right, Dave, both teams have rookie running backs that are putting up some numbers, I guess, making a splash in their first year in the league. Javonte Williams leads with 186. Najee Harris right behind him with 185. Which rookie running back do you think will have the biggest impact on Sunday?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of talk about the standard is the standard and everything else. The defense, the Steelers defense struggles stopping the run of late, and it's not a coincidence that Alu and Stephon Tuitt aren't out there. Cam Hayward, as it turns out, can't magically stuff the run on his own there. I am going to go with Najee Harris. I do think the worm is starting to turn. I know that there's a lot of doom and gloom and hand-wringing about the inability to run the ball, the offense in general. But if you're watching it closely, I do think it is slowly getting better. I'll defer to Wolfley on that one ultimately. So I'm going to take Najee Harris. I do think they're going to attempt to commit to it. And like Williamson just said, probably the way the game is going to flow, it should allow for opportunities to run the ball. I don't see either team jumping up 3 scores and then making it so that you're in a pass situation consistently. So I'm going to go with 22.
Wolf, Matt, do either of you want to weigh in on that?
Take it away, Wolf.
You go first. My turn to go last.
The only thing I just want to add is I think it's interesting what's going on with the Denver backfield right now, because Melvin Gordon and Williams are maybe in the most equal running back split in the whole league, where the Steelers are the most lopsided to one guy in the whole league. So they're just going about it in different ways with the rookie running back.
You know, my whole thing is just watching Najee. I think Dave brought it out really good. The thing about Najee is the fact that you see him starting to get that hunger to finish off the runs. He's always shown that predilection to finish off. I mean, he runs hard, but the thing I love is when you get that stiff arm, the Vance McDonald, the Vanimal, you know, stiff arm, boom, and slam the guy, and then you come off and you get the next guy. And, I love that in a back, because there's something about running backs who smell the first down, the goal line, those things that pulls them, and they will just churn them ham hocks away. And that's why I like Najee. I think it's like almost a sense about him. He's getting that blood scent for the goal line and for the first down markers.
All right, it is time now to tell you about our Week 5 opening lines across the league, presented by Unibet Sportsbook, an official sportsbook partner of the Pittsburgh Steelers. If you're in Pennsylvania and are ready to place your wagers on any of this weekend's matchups, you can download the Unibet PA app or visit pa.unibet.com.
We haven't stopped the run good enough to put them in situations where they have to pass, and some lucky bounces. Whether we haven't got it or we've gotten our hands on it, we just haven't caught it. We gotta really force the issue.
Hi everybody, welcome back to the Matchup Show presented by Unibet. That was Cam Hayward talking about the Steelers needing to get more turnovers, and we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. But let's start with Von Miller and TJ Watt, guys. Two edge rushers. We know what both are capable of doing, so we'll go backwards. Dave, we'll start with you. Who do you think will have more sacks on Sunday?
Love TJ Watt. Both guys generational pass rushers. I'll take Von Miller just because he's a little bit healthier right now.
All right, Matt, what do you like about these two guys kind of going head-to-head? It was like last week when we said it was Ben versus Rodgers.
I love everything about these guys. I mean, they're both playing exceptional. They're as good as you get at the position. A couple things to look for me is I think Watt, as usual, is going to get a ton of double teams by Bobby Massey and help. They play a lot of tight ends, a lot of heavy formations. And to me, that really sets up well for the left tackle situation. Garrett Bowles, who's making a lot of money. He's gotten a lot better with Coach Munchak, taking care of him. But he's had his struggles this year, too, since signing that big contract. I think those one-on-one matchups on the other side is extremely crucial in this one. I'm going to take Von Miller for who's going to get the sack total in this one. He plays a higher percentage of the snaps than Watt, who's also still fighting a little bit of an injury. And frankly, the Steelers quarterback is less mobile than either Bridgewater or Locke.
All right, Wolf, let me ask you this. Who's going to be responsible for stopping Von Miller from getting to Ben Roethlisberger?
It's going to be the man that lines up at right tackle, number one, I mean, you're going to have to see which way comes. Look, it's going to take a little more effort with the chip back, for me, wall right, everybody over to the right. You're going to have to make it so that you create obstacles for him to jump through. Von Miller's very talented. He's one of these guys that's gifted. One of the things I like about him, when he lines up, you can see him. He's already decided pretty much the move that he's going to throw, but he might have a second one there, and he links his moves very well so that if you stuff the first one, he's coming with the second one, and it's not going to be a big transition. It's not like you can jam him and all of a sudden he's running in place and he's a helmet magnet. He's going to have a couple of things to throw at you. So if he throws that uppercut or goes for that swim and you stuff that, look out for a spin back or coming the other way to the inside. He's got a number of them. So it's going to be not only the tackle, but it's going to be, if you want to put a tight end out there or a back, or make sure that you throw the ball. I will say as Mike Webster said one time, we were playing the New York Stock Exchange or Sack Exchange, New York Jets back in the day, and he said to Mike Webster said to Mark Malone, "I advise you to throw the ball quickly."
A little extra help there on Sunday. All right, Dave, going back to the turnovers, Cam Hayward was talking about that. The Steelers only have one after leading the league last year. How do you create more without trying to do too much? What seems to be the problem that was hampering them just a little bit in Green Bay?
Well, I mean, pretty rudimentary stuff out of me here, but, we got to get more pass rush going on a more consistent basis and heating up the QB, especially a guy, if it is Drew Lock, trying to get him to make throws a tick earlier than he wants to, and then letting Minka and company turn the ball over on the other side of things. Complementary pass rush, and then the secondary taking care of business there. It is a break for the Steelers if it is Drew Lock. They have to take advantage of it. And like I said earlier, this team is structured in 2021 to ride the defense, at least for the first portion of the season. Roethlisberger said as much. It's going to take a minute for the offensive line to round into shape, to get up to speed with Canada's offense. The defense has to carry the day, and a big part of that is turning the ball over. And, it's a must, and it starts this week and the following week against Russell Wilson and company.
Matt, going and studying this game, do you see any turnover-capable scenarios that would go in favor of the Steelers' defense this weekend?
Well, the biggest one is kind of like what Dave just mentioned is if Locke starts a quarterback versus Bridgewater, that's night and day in terms of your chances of going up, of getting the football. Bridgewater isn't the most dynamic, although he's throwing the ball downfield more than usual this year, but he takes care of the football as well as anyone in the league, where Locke's the young stallion, makes throws left and right and puts the ball in harm's way. So that's a big key. Kind of like these guys said too, I mean, predicting turnovers is really difficult, and some of it is luck and bounces and things like that, but they have back seven players with good ball skills, and they have pass rush. And to me, those are the two components for taking the ball away.
All right, well, let's talk about their run game. Mike Munchak, he knows Pittsburgh a little bit. The Steelers know him a little bit. What is their run game looking like in terms of Munch having his fingerprints on it, and what the Steelers defense will have to do to not give up 131 yards?
They got to hold the point of attack, and that's one of the big things. These guys come off, they go after you physically. They want to get after you and be able to move you back a little bit. They'll pull the backside guard. They'll pull a tackle. They'll pull different people to create blocking angles, whether they have the trap, the lead, the power, all those things. It's a typical Munchak thing. You've got the outside zone. You got the split zone. It's a Munch. You can see his personality imprinted on these five guys. They block to the whistle. They're not, let's say they're not averse to taking an extra little shot here and there, maybe executing a little frontier justice, if you will, at certain points of time. So, it's a true Munchak offensive line, and they are all about getting some movement and staying after you and trying to make you fight them within the box at their end. They're not going to let you spread them out. They don't want you out running the field. They want to get hold of you, lock on, stay on their feet, and stay at it till the echo of the whistle.
By the way, just jumping back to the Broncos' last foe in the last play of the game there, I wonder, Wolfley, what you think about that, because to me, Harbaugh is having his cake and eating it too there. It's okay. I'm not opposed necessarily to keeping that team record going there a little bit, but he also didn't line up. It was kind of, if you look at both sides on the play, they were kind of like, does that count? Was that a real play? It was kind of bogus because they pulled a fast one on the Broncos. I think Fangio would have lined up and tried to put a lick on the guy and make him pay for running that play. But it was kind of like, we just did that. That counts. Okay. That's what Fangio was ticked about, correct?
Yeah, I agree with that. Look, here's the thing about it. Back in my day, back in the medieval days, if you will, nobody took, you didn't take a knee, just arbitrarily. You might line up and just have another go, and that was the name of the game back then, just because it was available to you. You could hear whispers across the line. Guys know each other, and you go, we're coming, or we're not coming, are you coming, that sort of thing. But that's the way it was. It was defend yourself at all times.
You would never do anything illegal, right, Wolf?
Not that I would admit.
All right, well, on that note, guys, we're going to take one more break. You're watching the Matchup Show presented by Unibet. When we return, we will predict our game balls for Sunday. Welcome back to the Matchup Show presented by Unibet. All right, guys, let's predict our game balls for Sunday for the Steelers. Dameshek, we'll start with you. You get to go first again. Who's getting your game ball?
Well, we talk about the need to get some turnovers there. Who's the prime candidate to be on the receiving end of an errant Drew Lock pass? Let's go with Minkah Fitzpatrick. Making right what was wrong at the end of the first half in Lambeau. He should have had a touchdown there. Who knows, by the way, based on what I keep coming back to, the premise of how the Steelers want to win games early on this season is with that sort of thing. I don't know what happens in the second half, and no one can rightly say one way or the other. Talking about Lambeau. I think the winner of this game gets Aaron Rodgers, based on what I'm hearing, right? I mean, it's like, it's either the Broncos or Steelers. Hey, Steelers fans, how about some dignity? We don't pine for somebody else's Hall of Fame bound quarterback. Let's have some honor here and not pretend we're Vikings fans. Please come to town, Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers. Our quarterback wears number 7. He's going to be out there in Heinz Field this Sunday. Let's see him get it going a little bit. I suspect he will.
All right, Dave, going back to your point, we saw in Buffalo what works. Special teams, touchdown, good defense. So as you said, let's see that on Sunday against the Broncos. Okay, Matt, who are you predicting the Steelers will give the game ball to?
I'm going Najee Harris. You know, we talked about it earlier. I expect the script of this game to allow the Steelers to keep running it and keep running it and keep pounding that stone till it finally breaks. As these guys have mentioned, I think the blocking and the scheme has shown some more signs of life, of taking some baby steps forward. And then the thing we haven't brought up yet is I'm super impressed with Denver's defensive front, led by Von Miller, and their secondary is exceptional. But I think the middle of their defense, their off-the-ball linebackers, can be had. And I think Harris against those guys in the passing game could really pay off too.
Wolf, your turn. Who are you predicting gets the game ball?
Just what everybody's basically saying without saying. You got the Hall of Famer. You know, we had him in Green Bay. Well, we got a Hall of Famer. He's going to show up this Sunday. I believe it's got to be Ben. You know, Ben says it all starts with me. And I think it does. And I think he's got to be the game ball guy because I think he's got to come through in a big way for them to win this week. And I think he will.
All right, it is time now to tell you about Pick and Win presented by Unibet. Each week, participants can answer a variety of trivia and predictive questions to earn points. And the person with the most points at the end of the week wins a prize. The grand prize at the end of the season to the top points getter is a trip to the Pro Bowl in Las Vegas. It's free and easy to play. Download the Steelers official mobile app, create a fan profile, find the Pick and Win banner under the Fan Zone section. Super easy and fun to do. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me here today on the Matchup Show presented by Unibet. We'll do it again soon.
What's up, Steelers Nation? It's TJ Watt. Welcome to the Pittsburgh Steelers official YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to our channel to stay up to date on everything going on in the Steel City. Thank you for being the best fans in football. Here we go.